All right, let's do this. We're going back in time, way back, to Athens, 433 BCE. I want you to imagine you're a young guy named Ariston. You're 20 years old, you've just finished your military service, and today is the day. It's the first time you get to vote. And this isn't just any vote. We're talking about a decision that could mean war or peace for your entire city.
Who wishes to speak? Just think about that question. It's shouted across this massive open-air assembly, and it is the very soul of Athenian democracy. It's not a king giving an order. It's not some high council telling you what to think. It's the city itself, asking its own people, all right, who's got something to say? Who wants to shape our destiny?
So picture the scene. Ariston and his dad, Theodoros, they're part of this huge crowd of men flowing through the streets. You've got potters, farmers, wealthy aristocrats, all walking side by side, heading up a hill called the Pnyx. And the big topic for today? Whether to make an alliance with a little island called Corcyra. Sounds minor, right? Wrong. It's a move that could easily tip Athens into a massive war with its biggest rival, Sparta.
Now, as they're walking, Ariston's father tells him, look, this equality you feel, this idea that your vote is as good as any rich man's, that didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was born out of total desperation. Not much more than 100 years ago, Athens was about to tear itself apart in a civil war. The whole city was drowning in debt, and a few powerful families were calling all the shots.
And you can see here, this didn't happen overnight. I mean, before 594 BCE, things were grim. Poor farmers were literally being sold into slavery to pay what they owed. So the first big hero is the guy named Solon, who comes in and basically hits a giant reset button, canceling all debts. A huge step, but it wasn't democracy, not yet. He just set the stage for the real architect, Cleisthenes, who came along almost 100 years later.
So here's the thing. Cleisthenes had this brilliant insight. He realized the real problem was that the old aristocratic families controlled everything through these four ancient tribes. Their power was all tied up in their specific land and their family connections. To break their grip, he couldn't just pass a new law. No, he had to completely rewire the political map of Athens.
And his plan was just genius. A three-step political masterpiece. First, he takes all the land around Athens and divides it into three zones. You've got the city, the coast, and the inland farms. Step 2, he throws out the 4 old family tribes and just invents 10 brand new ones from scratch. And then, this is the magic ingredient, he mixes them all together. Each new tribe was a deliberate cocktail of people from all 3 regions.
So what does that actually mean? Well, it means that a rich nobleman living in the city is suddenly in the same political family as a fisherman from the coast and a farmer from the plains. Their political fates were now literally tied together. They had to talk to each other, cooperate, and even serve in the same military units. It was a revolutionary way to force people to think not just about their own little corner of the world, but about Athens as a whole.
Okay, but you can't have thousands of guys trying to run the city every single day, right? That would be chaos. So for the day-to-day stuff, the Athenians had the boule, or the Council of 500. 50 men were chosen from each of those 10 new tribes to serve for 1 year. They handled the money, foreign ambassadors, and crucially, they set the agenda. They decided what the big assembly would even get to vote on.
So how did you get this powerful job? You didn't campaign for it. There were no elections. No, your fate was in the hands of this incredible device, the Clariterion. It's basically a big slab of stone with slots in it. You'd put your personal token in a slot. An official would drop in some black and white dice. And if a white die popped out next to your row, congratulations, you were on the council. If it was black, better luck next year. Pure random chance.
Now, to us, this seems absolutely wild, but you have to get inside their heads. For the Athenians, the lottery, or sortation, that was democracy. Why? Because it gave every single citizen an equal shot at holding power. They saw elections as something totally different, as the tool of an oligarchy, a system where the rich, the famous, and the powerful would always win.
And the level of trust they put in this random system is just breathtaking. Get this, a smaller committee from the council would run things day to day, and every single day they chose a new chairman, the epistatus, by lottery. So for 24 hours, any ordinary guy, a farmer, a shoemaker, could be the head of state. He held the keys to the treasury, the seal of the city. You could do it once in your entire life and for 1 day only. Incredible. Okay, back to Ariston. He and his father finally get to the Pnyx. It's not some fancy temple, it's this huge, sloping semicircle carved right out of the rock. At the bottom, there's a stone platform for the speakers, and before anything starts, priests walk around the edge, dripping the blood of sacrificed pigs to purify the space. The air is buzzing with the sound of thousands of voices.
And think about the scale here. For the really big decisions, we're talking declaring war, kicking a politician out of the city, you needed a quorum of 6,000 citizens. 6,000 guys all in one place, all raising their hands to decide the future. This isn't voting for a representative to decide for you. This is the decision.
And up on that speaker's platform, they had another amazing piece of democratic tech, the clepsydra, the water clock. It's just a clay pot with a hole. When it's your turn to speak, a slave pulls the plug. You've got about 6 minutes until the water runs out. It didn't matter if you were the richest man in Athens or the poorest, your time was exactly the same. So a few people get up and argue for and against the alliance. Then the crowd goes still. The great statesman Pericles himself walks up to the platform. Now some jobs, the ones that needed serious expertise, like being a general, those were still elected. And Pericles was so good, so respected, that he was elected general year after year. And Pericles doesn't yell. He's calm, but his logic is just devastating. He tells the crowd that Athens isn't great because it sticks to the old ways. It's great because it's brave, because it innovates. He frames this risky alliance not as a danger, but as a sign of their courage. He tells them, this is who we are. Then, the moment arrives. The herald calls for the vote, a chiritonia, a show of hands. Aristophanes feels this incredible jolt as his own hand shoots up, joining a vast forest of flesh and bones stretching towards the sky. The motion passes by a huge margin, and just like that, thousands of ordinary men have put Athens on the path to war. But you can imagine Ariston feeling a little shaken. What if they were all wrong? What if some smooth-talking politician just tricked them all? His father explains that the Athenians weren't stupid. They built in all these safeguards. You could literally sue a speaker for proposing an illegal or harmful law. The final say in court cases rested with these massive juries, 501 citizens or more, so you couldn't bribe them. And of course, there was ostracism. If a politician got too big for his boots, they could just vote to banish him for 10 years. So as they're walking home, feeling the buzz of the day, Ariston looks around. He sees the women at the wells, the foreign merchants in the market, the slaves hauling goods, and a troubling thought hits him. He turns to his father and asks the one question that lies at the uncomfortable heart of their whole amazing system.
And the reality is pretty shocking. The demos in Demokrateia, the people in the rule of the people, was actually a pretty small club. Male citizens who could actually vote, they made up maybe 15% of the total population. The huge majority, women, children, foreigners living in the city, and a massive number of slaves, they had absolutely no say.
Theodoros lays out the cold, hard logic of their world. To the Athenians, having a voice in politics required complete independence. In their eyes, women were dependent on their husbands, foreigners were loyal to another city, and slaves were owned by a master. They believed only free Athenian-born men had the true freedom of mind to govern.
And yet, his father leaves him with this final, powerful idea. Yeah, the system was exclusive. It was deeply flawed. But in a world full of kings and tyrants, it was a blazing light. In other empires, everyone was a subject, born to obey. In Athens, they were citizens. Here, he says, we kneel to no man. We kneel only to the laws we write ourselves. A democracy of breathtaking brilliance and of deep, undeniable shadow.
Please like and subscribe.